What's going on YouTube? So the BMW 3 Series has been around for almost 50 years now, and it's long been regarded as one of the best luxury compact sports sedans money can buy.
And now we own one. This is the refreshed 2023 BMW 330e.
So why did we put our money where our mouth is? Let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's kick things off under the hood. So you'll continue to have your 330i and your M340i. However, we have something different today. We have the 330e. That is the plug-in hybrid variant. Now, what does this have to offer? Well, this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine paired with an enhanced 12 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. Total system output is going to be 288 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque.
It's going to be routed to the ground via the same 8-speed ZF Source automatic transmission. You have standard rear drive, optional X-Drive all-wheel drive, and as far as full electric range for this plug-in hybrid, we're sitting at 22 miles with X-Drive all-wheel drive.
Now, of course, this is still a sports sedan after all, so we're going to take this out on the road later on the review, get things like our signature sound level reading. But first, let's close up the hood, take a look at the refreshed exterior design. So when it comes to the exterior design, BMW made huge mind-blowing changes. Just kidding, they did not, but I'm actually very happy they did not, because this is kind of a don't mess with success deal for me. The 3 Series has always been a very handsome look, especially in this generation, and they just kind of massaged a few of the details for 2023. The grille itself is pretty much the same shape this year, and you do have a revised lower fascia. Now, as far as what we opted for on our 3 Series here, we have the M Sport model. That's going to give you the more aggressive look, and then we further optioned on the shadow line grille, so it's going to give you this nice gloss black finish. Let's go ahead and talk about the headlights next. These have also been revised for 2023. So what you'll basically notice is the daytime running lights have been flipped upside down. They used to be down here. You also had a little kink in the headlight that has now been eliminated for a more streamlined look. And of course, they're going to be full LED projector style with your signature daytime running light and turn signal indicators. Now, as we move around to the rear design, just like with the front, we have some subtle updates. Basically, they massaged the overall look a little bit and made things more aggressive looking with the M Sport model.
Yeah, so you still have that signature BMW 3 Series design that you know we love. So as far as some of the changes, the taillights are slightly different. So let's go ahead and hop inside Drew and see if all the elements are LED. So we do have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, and the turn signal.
Hey, which one of these stocks is the turn signal? I forgot.
I see BMW ownership is hitting hard already. And we do have an LED turn signal indicator. So 3 out of 3 elements are LED, as you would expect out of a luxury vehicle. I like the overall taillight design as well. And then dropping down to the lower area, this is really the area that they changed more so than anything else in the rear. You have a more aggressive diffuser for the M Sport. You have this piece that kind of juts up, makes it look a little bit more sporty. All of the 3 Series models, including this plug-in hybrid, are going to have exposed exhaust outlets. And in this particular model, they're finished in a nice black color.
Now, moving on to the wheels, the 3 Series does come standard with 18-inch alloys. However, we have the 19-inch contrast alloys that come standard with the M Sport model. As you can see, really nice look to these. You can also get a full gloss black if you prefer, but we like the contrast design of these. We also have the all-season tires wrapped around it, and I think they really pop overall when paired with this new paint color. You may have seen this on some other BMW products. This is called Brooklyn Gray Metallic, but it is new to the 3 Series, and I love the way this looks. Now, as we come back here, this is where you're going to find your charge port. It does have electrified by eye badging right there. And then as far as your mirrors are concerned, you do have standard heating, standard driver's side auto dimming, as well as power folding. However, we do have the optional blind spot monitoring system, and you can also option on a gloss black finish to these.
Now, in terms of length for the 3 Series, that's not going to change for the refresh, so we're looking at 185.7 inches in overall length. And as far as some of your design elements, we do have blacked out window surrounds and a piano black finish, which does look really good paired with the paint color. Now, as far as the safety systems are concerned, BMW is going to include 3 out of your 4 active safety features as standard equipment on the 3 Series. Now, the only one that is not included is adaptive cruise control. That's going to be included in the driver's assistance professional package. Also included in that is a few other goodies, but we actually did not opt for that on this particular model. So unfortunately, we do not have adaptive cruise. Well, guys, there is a lovely red interior with a lot of updated technology on the inside. So let's go ahead and dive into that. But before, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our key fob. Of course, you do have a smart entry system on board. We've got the signature BMW key fob with your M colors here on the side, since it's the M Sport model. And we can precondition the cabin using the BMW application. Now to get inside, just grab behind the handle. That's going to unlock the doors, fold the mirrors out, and then take a look inside at the cabin. Of course, BMW draws your attention right away to those new displays with a sound effect and animation, but we're going to talk about those later. First, we got to talk about our interior color and material choices. So you do have 2 different materials you can choose from. You have real leather, or you have the standard Sensitech leatherette. That's actually what we have, although you couldn't really tell it because this is extremely realistic feeling. Really nicely finished, as you can see. Lots of stitching details that run through here. Nice thick bolsters as well to hold you in place. And as far as your color options, you do have the choice between black, brown, beige, or Tacora red, which is, as you can tell, our favorite option. Now coming down here to the controls themselves, 14-way power adjusting. You have 4-way lumbar support. You also have a manual thigh extension. But let's go ahead, climb inside, and take a look at all the details. Now continuing with our overall cabin materials, let's start out with our door trim. You do have a padded plastic armrest through here. It's the same color as your leather seats, and you also have a leatherette material above that for the center section. It is going to be soft touch along the top part, and by the way, we do have standard 2-person memory seating as well as 4 fully automatic windows. Going to the upper dashboard, this is going to be finished in a soft touch plastic. You can also option on a leatherette dashboard if you prefer that look. And then down below, we have a really beautiful wood trim. You've got several you can choose from, or you can also choose an aluminum trim. We went with the open pore oak, which I think looks really, really nice, has a great feel to it as well, and that continues down the entire center console through there. Of course, everything does fit together really, really well because this is a BMW after all. Now put your foot on the brake and press the button located right there to fire it up. But let's move into first person and take a closer look at everything. First off is going to be, your most significant interior upgrade, and that is this new curved dual display setup. So, as you can see, it has that cool floating effect. It's basically exactly the same as what you have in many other BMW models, all the way up to the, really expensive products like the BMW 7 Series. So that's really cool that you get that here with the 3 Series model. Now this, of course, is going to be made up of 2 very large displays. This one here is going to be 12.3 inches for your gauge cluster, fully reconfigurable, so when you change drive modes and things like that, the full design is going to adjust just like that. Now, in addition to that, since we have the premium package, we have a head-up display. This has also been enhanced for 2023, and this is one of the best head-up displays that I've ever used. It has a lot of information. Just like with the gauge cluster, when you change things like your drive mode, it does also give you a different design. Now pulling back, you do have rain sensing wipers. And then we have one of our favorite steering wheels in the entire auto industry. You don't have to go up to a high performance M model to get this. As long as you have the M Sport, you've got this really nice looking M steering wheel. It's even got the leather airbag cover. And of course you have the blue tracing the badge to signify this is electrified. Now, as far as the wheel itself, it is also manual tilt and telescoping, and we have steering wheel heating in the premium package. But let's go ahead and take a look at our interior storage. Even though this is a relatively small compact sports sedan, storage is not bad. So in our center console here, even though it is shallow, it's quite wide. You do have a rubber lining in it as well. USB port, and when we stick our coupons in here, as long as you kind of set them in here flat, it's going to close up, no problem whatsoever. Now underneath of this big piece of wood, if you let that fold out of the way, that's where you're going to find your 2 cup holders. You'll find another USB, a 12-volt outlet, and then you have a nice large surface that doubles as a wireless phone charging pad if you have that option. We did choose to have that. It's about $200. Now you're probably wondering, where is the shifter? Well, that's another one of the refreshed items. We've moved to the very small nub shifter. So it's right down here. Of course, you're just going to pull back for drive. You can bump back again for manual or for sport mode, and then you also have manual shifting with the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Press forward, that's going to take you into reverse. And this is what our standard backup camera looks like. As you can see, you've got your traditional view, active trajectory. You also have a parking sensor visualization for both front and rear. Plus, our right side mirror is going to fold down to help you see the parking lines better. Park is going to be the P located right behind the shifter. And then you do, of course, have an electronic parking brake. Now, despite the updated look here, we do still have our iDrive controller right there. And then as we move up the dashboard, you're going to notice this area has changed. So first of all, we've got a revised vent look. You'll also notice that our climate controls are no longer here. Those are going to be moved into the display, which we'll talk about in just a second. However, we do retain physical controls down here, including, I know you guys like this, a physical volume knob. Now, what did we choose? We chose the optional 16-speaker, 463-watt Harman Kardon sound system, and we'll go ahead and give that a sample right now. Overall, we've certainly been very satisfied with this sound system. It sounds great inside of this cabin. Alrighty, so now it's time to come up here and address the big display. So this is 14.9 inches. Just like, again, the 7 Series, all of the premium products, it is the same exact size. And like I was mentioning, you do have your climate controls built into the bottom. So your primary functions here is just going to be changing your temperature with a simple tap down there at the bottom. We have 3-zone automatic climate control as standard equipment. Now, as far as your other climate functions, those are going to be located right there in the climate menu. You can take manual control of certain functions. You also have automatic heated seats. Those are optional on this model, but you can kind of set thresholds where they will automatically turn on. Now, if I navigate back out of the climate menu, you'll see that we have a really large graphic map here with Google Maps. That's because I'm in the Android Automotive ecosystem. So this is going to run wirelessly through Android Auto as well as Apple CarPlay. When I click into the main system itself, this has also the upgraded iDrive 8.0. So there's going to be some differences here in terms of the graphics. And as you can see, just an absolute ton of information inside of this vehicle. iDrive is kind of overwhelming actually at first, but as we've owned the vehicle, we've gotten used to it. It's really, really high tech, and whatever you want it to do, it certainly can do it. You might just have to take a second to find it or use the voice assistant, which is really good and can help you find information pretty quickly. Rising above, we do have an auto dimming mirror with 3 Home-Link universal remotes. And then up top, you'll find a standard sunroof. As you can see, this is a little bit larger than what I would say is the average sunroof. It does have a power sunshade, and of course, this panel does open up.
Now the 3 Series is a family sedan still, even though it does have that sporty flair. So what's this rear seat like? So as far as the space is concerned, we're looking at 35.2 inches of legroom, 37.6 inches of headroom. That does place it pretty much identical to the other German offerings like the Mercedes C-Class, Audi A4. They're all very close in space figures. Now, as far as how much knee room I have, this seat is adjusted to our driving position. And as far as the knee space, we're looking at a very solid 8 inches. I'm very surprised by that, and really a lot has to do with the fact that they've made knee cutouts. So even if you're really tall and have the seat slid all the way back, the rear seat passengers are pretty much going to be fine. Now, as far as my feet sliding up underneath the seat, there's also plenty of room for that. I do want to point out, though, that the center tunnel is quite large, so this middle passenger might be a little uncomfortable. But while we're in the middle, let's go ahead and talk about this. We have standard vents, so we're not going to be hot or cold in the back, and we do have our own temperature adjustment. That's actually standard on every single 3 Series model, so you can have your 3-zone climate, which is nice. A lot of the other rivals won't give you that. Dropping down below that, we have 2 USB-C ports, and then if we fold down the center armrest here, we do have cup holders integrated inside. They have a real complicated opening system that opens out like that. And then as far as your door trim is concerned, we do have a pretty nice one. Soft touch plastic on the upper part, leatherette all through this middle portion, a padded armrest portion, and then the very bottom, we do have big bottle storage. And I will say from experience in this vehicle, these bottle holders and the door are actually quite large. They can even fit large Stanley cups inside. Now, walking up to the trunk on the 3 Series, one of the cool things that BMW is including is a standard power trunk. It's also going to be hands-free, so just kick your foot under the bumper to open it up. And we've had flawless use of that hands-free system. It's been great in pretty much any circumstance, so I'm very happy to see that. Now, as far as the space is concerned back here, one thing I want to point out before we even get started here is that because we have the 330e, we're going to have a slightly reduced cargo capacity. It's going to be 13.2 cubic feet of maximum cargo capacity for the 330e, which isn't bad for this segment of vehicle. And the reason for that is because we have the battery that actually starts right here. So you can actually configure the load floor to be completely flat like this, or you can drop it down and have kind of a hump going into the cargo area. We prefer to use it like this and just have a lot of underfloor storage. And if you go for a regular 3 Series model, a 330i or an M340i, you're going to be looking at 16.9 cubic feet of cargo capacity, which is very big for the segment. That's more than C-Class, more than the Audi A4. 16.9 is very large. Now, I want to point out the seats fold 40-20-40 split. We also do have some storage here on the side, and your cargo hinges are going to be covered. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of our BMW 330e xDrive. We can't wait to show you what this 330e is capable of out on the road. We will also be talking about a lot of different things that are on the screen right now, as well as getting our signature sound level reading. So we'll go ahead and dive in by getting a hard acceleration.
All right, and there we are, over
Nice.
60 miles per hour. So that was just in the standard hybrid drive mode. And you can really feel all the different pieces working together when you're in this mode. You really launch off the line quite swiftly because of the enhanced electric motor that we were talking about in the spec dump. And what is this system made of? So a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine plus the electric motor and the battery pack, which is 12 kilowatt hours. Altogether 288 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. So yes, for those of you keeping track, that is more than the 330i model.
Yeah, and because this is a little bit heavier than a 330i, they actually both go 0 to 60 in the same 5.6 seconds, rated by BMW. Typically, the Germans are actually a little conservative with their 0 to 60 figures. I feel like this vehicle is very much a 5.6 second car, if not actually a little bit quicker than that, especially when we go into the extra boost mode, which we'll talk about just a little bit later in this test drive. Now, as far as some things to note about this 330e powertrain itself, the engine is going to be making 181 horsepower, so it is the detuned version of the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, but the electric motors for 2023 have actually been enhanced. They actually make 107 horsepower themselves, and they can operate at up to over 80 miles per hour by themselves in the electric mode. So those are some new things for 2023, and you can definitely feel how powerful those electric motors are. We'll actually do some full EV accelerations later on this test drive as well to give you kind of both ends of the spectrum.
Right, you know, the idea behind having the plug-in hybrid, you know, is having something for every circumstance. So you've got the default hybrid mode, but most of the time it won't even fire up the engine until you've depleted through that range.
Now, for those of you not all that concerned about the 330e and you just want a 330i, that's going to be a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder on that model, 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. They do also offer the M340i, a lovely, lovely powertrain on that one, a 3-liter turbo inline 6-cylinder. That's also updated to have their new mild hybrid technology, 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 on that one can be as fast as 4.1 seconds with xDrive all-wheel drive. So we're definitely looking forward to covering that M340i, hopefully in a separate review when our dealership gets one. Unfortunately, it was a little bit out of the budget when we were looking to buy it. It's a little bit pricier, but it is a lovely model. Very nice.
Time for extra boost. I'll explain what that is in just a second.
Dang. That's up a hill too. That was a steep hill.
It feels extra fast when it comes to the extra boost. So this is taking all your systems and making them all work together to their maximum capacity and performance. And really, this car comes to life once you get into the extra boost.
It's a lot of fun.
For sure. And we wanted to, go ahead and talk about driving dynamics here towards the beginning of this test drive, because they really played...
What music would you like to hear?
BMW's over here interrupting us. But it played a very pivotal role in us choosing this 3 Series model, because unlike some other models that we could have chosen, like the S60 Recharge, for example, this model here really puts driving dynamics as an emphasis, of course, because the 3 Series is the quintessential sports sedan, the compact sports sedan, and this just feels so balanced. Glued to the road. You have great steering, especially when you go into the sport mode. That's where you really get that immediate response and nice heft to the steering. It's really just rewarding to drive. And even when you're driving, slowly, just around town, it still feels really nice. But of course, when you open it up on a back road, it really puts a smile on your face. I think that's what's most important about the driving dynamics, and why you might want to pick this over top of anything else that is offered. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the transmission. So this has an 8-speed automatic transmission. Even though it is a plug-in hybrid, it's the same transmission as the other versions, and this is an excellent automatic transmission. It's not a dual clutch, but as you can see me demonstrate just now with these paddle shifters, really fast response. I'm super impressed by how quickly this responds to my manual shifts. That's something that I really, really like about this. And of course, when you're just driving around normally day to day, it also is really nice and smooth.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of having the 8-speed versus the dual clutch, is just the everyday livability. It totally blends into the background, especially when you're in hybrid or electric mode, because it still will actually shift through the gears, even though you're fully operating as an EV most of the time.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting quirk about this vehicle. When you're typically driving an electric vehicle in an electric mode, you don't have a traditional transmission, but interestingly enough, like Mason was saying, when you're in that pure electric mode, you still do shift through the gears. So it's kind of an interesting sensation, but that's just how they set up this powertrain arrangement.
Now, I do also want to talk about just some more normal, not as fun things as driving dynamics. We want to hit that first and foremost, but of course there are a lot of other things that are very important about owning a plug-in hybrid. First of all, your electric range. The 330e is going to have less range than an S60 Recharge by quite a lot. They don't make a lot of plug-in hybrid sedans, so those are pretty much your only two options. And the S60 is sitting around 40 miles. This one, as equipped with xDrive all-wheel drive, is sitting at 22 miles on a charge. If you go for rear drive, you get I believe, 23 miles of electric range. So not fantastic, but it is certainly enough to really take a substantial part of your driving every day if you do short commutes and make it EV. That's really one of the things that we were looking for when we were buying a vehicle, is the electrification aspect, so we can save money on gas. This vehicle does use premium gas, so it's a lot more expensive. And really, we've been impressed. Since we bought the vehicle, I think we're sitting around 65 or 70% of all of our driving is under electric power. We do stay a lot in the city, but because this is a plug-in hybrid, you can do a quick trip somewhere and back and then charge it up in about 2 hours. So in the course of a daytime, you can really do several charges and actually get up to about 40 miles of pure electric range. So certainly we've been enjoying that aspect of it.
Right, it's gone surprisingly far.
And now that we're just kind of cruising along on the highway, I do want to talk about the ride quality for the 3 Series. Now, this is an area we've reviewed past 3 Series models, and when we were ordering our 3 Series, we made sure we checked one option, and that option is the adaptive suspension. The reason we checked that box is because the 3 Series typically has a very rough ride quality for that sporty driving character.
Right,
of
when
course.
you choose the M Sport model, to be clear, you get the sport suspension setup, which definitely skews on the stiff side of things to keep things nice and sporty, like Mason was saying.
They do offer the adaptive suspension. I believe it was a $950 option, and that really changes the character of this vehicle. In just a normal drive mode like this right here, it is extremely smooth. It's very impressively smooth, actually. So when you hit a bump, it really soaks it up well. But when you hit the sport mode, it takes it to another level, and it is very stiff and exactly what you want for country driving. So certainly it has that dual character. I would recommend buying that option if you are looking to buy a 3 Series, because certainly it does have that cool dual character to it. All right, and let's go ahead and get one of our signature elements, the Car Confections sound level reading for our 330e. Holy smokes, Drew.
What do we get?
49.1 decibels.
49 decibels.
I would say that our sound level reading is malfunctioning, but...
Take it again.
I waited for it to... Yeah, I mean, we're very, very solidly sitting at, that one gave us a sample of 50.8 decibels. So when it comes to the quietness inside of this cabin,
quiet. I didn't know if it was that quiet, though.
We were actually very curious to sample it out, because we've owned this car for a little bit, been keeping it a nice secret, driving it around, and I knew it was very quiet inside of this cabin because, of course, right then and there, we were operating as an electric vehicle. It was no gas engine whatsoever. But it also just is really sound deadened, and you could just notice that from the moment you sat in this vehicle. It's very quiet. I didn't know it was going to be quite that quiet, though. That's incredibly impressive, guys.
Yeah, it really puts it in the same kind of realm as even the high-end BMWs like the 7 Series.
Yeah. As far as how that compares to anything in the segment, that is going to absolutely demolish anything. The next quietest one was the S60 Recharge, which of course is the direct head-to-head competitor with this vehicle. That came in at 54.4, but this is going to be significantly quieter, that's for sure. And as far as other things to cover, I do want to hit your fuel economies. You might be curious as to what type of MPGs you get on the 330e when you run out of electric charge. It's going to be sitting at 26 miles a gallon combined with xDrive 28 MPG with rear drive setup. That actually is slightly less than the 330i, so do keep that in mind. You have the additional weight of the battery, so when this vehicle is operating under gas only, it actually gets a little bit worse fuel economy than the 330i xDrive, which is rated at 28 mpg, and then the rear drive model is actually rated at a very solid 30 mpg for the 330i. The M340i is rated at 25 miles per gallon combined. And there's 60.
All right, so there you go. Obviously not overwhelmingly fast, but it does feel really torquey off the line. And with 107 horsepower, you can keep up with traffic, especially when you're in town. When you actually go into the electric mode, it gives you more power versus the hybrid mode, where it will go ahead and turn on the engine after a certain amount of throttle.
Yeah, and it can operate, I think, speeds up to about 87 miles per hour.
Looks like almost 90 miles an hour there.
So, for those of you BMW drivers that like to speed, you can stay in electric power, even if you're in Texas.
I do want to talk about the brakes and how this system works, because we do have regen on board, and it kind of blends the regen with the natural braking as you come onto the brake. And I just want to say that it's not my favorite element of the driving dynamics. This is certainly a little bit more unnatural than the 330i or the M340i, because it just has a little bit of an odd feel. Once you kind of start to come to a stop, it kind of snaps you a little bit.
Yeah, that last little bit, it's very difficult to modulate it it doesn't just like snap your neck. Especially if you get out of another vehicle, like we have a press cars, so very often we're switching in and out of vehicles. Coming back to this, it's a little bit hard to modulate the brake pedal for sure. And the very last thing that I want to talk about in this test drive portion is your warranty if you choose to buy one of these, which we did. One of the good things about BMW is that you have 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We all know maintaining German vehicles is very pricey and expensive. So one of the things that we certainly appreciate about a BMW is that they do at least give you the first 3 years for free, so you don't have to be paying for a service the month or two after you own the vehicle. That's certainly a nice benefit. As far as the basic and powertrain warranty, is going to be their signature warranty, which is 4 year, 50,000 miles for both of those. Now, as far as pricing is concerned for this 3 Series, let's go ahead and dive into that. So for 2023, the 3 Series is going to start at $43,800 for a 330i rear-wheel drive. xDrive all-wheel drive adds $2,000 to every single one of the prices that I'm about to mention. The 330e comes in at $44,900, so only an $1,100 premium for choosing the plug-in hybrid 330e over the 330i. The M340i is going to be quite a bit more expensive, though, at $56,400. Now, as far as our particular 330e, one thing that I do want to point out is our 330e xDrive starts at $45,300. You'll notice that if you want to order a 330e xDrive now, it's going to cost about $1,500 more. That's because we ordered this vehicle before January 1st, 2023. BMW jacked the price up $1,500 on every 3 Series model starting in 2023. Now, as far as what options we've picked out, we do have quite a few. The premium package, the M Sport package are the big ticket items. Also, you know, the adaptive suspension, which we talked about in the test drive. Our particular price as tested is $53,870. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of our personal long-term tester, the BMW 330e 2023 refreshed model. Now, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, of course, we would love if you hit that subscribe button down below. By doing so, you're actually going to stay in the loop for the latest updates about our long-term test on this BMW 330e. If you want to know more about the battery, how the battery is holding up, how we like the vehicle after 6 months, a year, 2 years, please hit that subscribe button down below, because there'll be a lot more content coming up on this 3 Series specifically, and we have a ton more automotive content coming up on all types of models. So if you're not super interested in this car, we have you covered. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.